Shalom, all praise to Yahweh Bashim Shah, double honors to the apostles of GMS. My name is Amna Allah, coming at you once again with another lesson. And this lesson here, I want to focus on the book of Acts, chapter 6, verse 9. Okay? And I'll start from verse 1. You know, it's a certain part in this chapter I want to focus on. And that's the libertines in Acts, chapter 6, verse 9. In fact, I'm not going to read the whole thing due to the process of time. I'm just going to jump around real quick. Acts 6 and 1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews. These are Israelites right here, Grecians, against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. So when it says Grecians, it's talking about Israelites, Israelite foreigners, okay? That's what it's referring to. The Israelites that was keeping them Greek customs, you know. Then the 12 called the multitude of the disciples unto them and said, unto the multitude said, and these are Israelites that knew they were Israelites, but were keeping them Greek customs. I believe that word there might be Hellenistas, if I'm not mistaken. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, Hellenistas. Hellenistas. Those are Israelites.
Strong's G 1675. Hellenistes. Hellenistes.
A Hellenist, one who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks, and use the Greek tongue, used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. So those are Israelite foreigners, okay? If I see down here, Greek-speaking Jew. All right, Grecian. Let me go back. So their wives were neglected in the daily ministration, meaning, giving out food. Then the 12 called the multitude of the disciples unto them and said, it is not reason that we should leave the word of the Most High and serve tables, meaning we shouldn't leave from teaching the word of the Most High and serve tables. And they chose out certain men. I'm not going to read the rest of it. They chose out 7 men of honor and support who they appointed over that business. So I'm going to fast forward and jump down, and Stephen was one of those men. I'm going to jump down to verse 8. And Stephen, full of faith and power, did great wonders and miracles among the people. Then there arose certain of the synagogue, which is called the synagogue of the libertines, and Cyrenians and Alexandrians, and of them of Cilicia and of Asia, disputing with Stephen. So it said the synagogue of the libertines. Okay? The synagogue of the libertines. And they called him a blasphemer. So they had to be zealous in the law. Okay? They had to be very in tune with the law, because they didn't want to hear what Stephen was saying. They didn't want to hear about, the teaching of Yahweh Shah. Okay? But who were those libertines? Because it tells you that they disputed with Stephen. See that? So they speak blasphemous words. I don't want to read the whole thing because it's going to be a lot. I'm going to go back to it eventually though. No will. But if the spirit permit, I don't really plan on going back to it though, because I don't want the lesson to be too long. Libertines.
Strong's G 3032. Libertinas.
Libertinos. One who has been liberated from slavery, a freedman, or the son of a freedman. Libertine denotes Jews, according to Philo, who had been made captives of the Romans under Pompey, but were afterwards set free, and who, although they had fixed their abode in Rome, had built at their own expense a synagogue at Jerusalem. So they had made their abode in Rome. They abided in Rome. Those were Jews who were set free from being captives under the Romans, but under the rulership of Pompey, and they made their abode in Rome, and they continued to live in Rome. But they had built a synagogue in Jerusalem, which they frequented when in that city. So when they were in the city of Jerusalem, they frequented that synagogue. The name libertines adhered to them to distinguish them from the freeborn Jews who had subsequently taken up their residence at Rome. So the term libertine was used to distinguish the libertine Jews, or the Israelites that were freedmen, from the Jews who had subsequently, meaning following, had taken up residence at Rome. So the difference was made from the Jews who were already in Rome, who were called libertines. Jews who were living in Rome who were called libertines, meaning they was taken captive by Pompey, and they were eventually set free. That term libertine was to reference them, to difference them from the Jews that came in subsequently, or Jews that came in after them, who had abided in Rome as well. So the libertines were Jews who lived in Rome, who were taken captive by Pompey. Jews who were taken captive by Pompey continued to live in Rome, though they were set free. And then you had the Jews who came in to Rome as well after those Jews. So it was a difference between them. Evidence seems to have been discovered of the existence of a synagogue of the libertines at Pompeii. Okay? Go down. And like I mentioned here, they were disputing with Stephen. I'll read on a little bit, just a little bit. And they were not able to resist the wisdom and the spirit which he spake. Then they suborned men which said, We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against the Most High. And they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes and came upon him and caught him and brought him to the council. Okay, and set up false witnesses which said, This man ceases not to speak blasphemous words against this holy place in the law. For we have heard him say that this Yahushua of Nazareth shall destroy this place and shall change the custom which Moses delivered us. And all that sat in the council, looking steadfastly on him, saw his face as it had been the face of an angel. So let's deal with some more about the libertines. Website here, International StayInTheBible.com, libertines. Let's read some of it. It says, I'm not gonna read this whole webpage and go right to the point that I gotta get. Interpretation of libertines. They are freedmen, as we just read in the blue letter. Liberated slaves or their descendants. Against this, it is held that the Greek equivalent of pleutheroi, which means freedmen. And we look at that word up, it means freedmen, free from domination of others. Okay? We look it up. All right? Y'all got it right here? Yeah, I got it right here. A pleutheroi, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, freed slaves. These men are slaves who have taken their freedom in a revolt or have been freed by the native masters to secure their aid in one led by them. They will fight and preserve the oppressor. That's basically the point. Okay? They pick up stones to throw, because we'll get into that too. Because said they will fight and perceive the oppressor, but are untrained and carry minimal weaponry found at the time of revolt. I don't gotta read no more of it. That's basically the point. They were. It means freedmen. Okay, they were free from their masters. I want to see if I can find a better definition. Here's a definition of that word, eleutheroi. This word right here. This is something called the Encyclopedia of Christianity, Volume 2. It says philosophical etymology and concept. With related terms in their languages, the word free derives from the Indo-European root pri, meaning protect, spare, like love. The Latin word for freedom is libertas, or liberty, or libertine. The Greek eleutheria, especially in sense of political freedom. The latter occurred for the first time in Pindar. Jump down, okay. The eleutheroi were free persons who, as distinct from slaves, lived in their fatherland with their own kind. See that? In Greek thought, social and political freedom was the fore at first, being viewed negatively as freedom from domination by others. See that? That's the main point I want to get: freedom from domination of others. But let's go back. I don't want to do this lesson. I don't want the lesson to be too long, due to the interest of time. Against this, it is held that the Greek equivalent. Wait 1 second. All right, back to here. Against this, it is held that the Greek equivalent, epleutheroi, would have been used in this case. However, the Roman designation would be common all over the empire. In what sense were they freedmen? And in what sense? What do they mean? Various answers are given. They were freedmen. This is A. They were freedmen from Jewish servitude, Lightfoot, a so-called theologian. I believe his name is Joseph Lightfoot, back in the 1800s. They were Italian freedmen who had become proselytes. That's B. Or C. They were the freedmen of Romans. Chrysostom, another. I believe there's a Jake right here. John Chrysostom, see that? Like a Jake. Okay, see that? 300 some AD. The freedmen of the Romans, the descendants of Jewish freedmen at Rome who had been expelled by Tiberius. We're going to deal with that. So it said that the descendants of freedmen at Rome who had been expelled by Tiberius. In 63 BC, Pompey had taken prisoners of war to Rome. Okay, let's deal with that real quick. It said Pompey, right? Let's do it. Pompey. Who's that? Pompey. Gaius Pompeius Magnus, usually known in English as Pompey or Pompey the Great, was a military and political leader of the late Roman Republic. He came from a wealthy Italian provincial background, and his father had been the first to establish the family among the Roman nobility. Pompey's immense success as a general, while still very young, enabled him to advance directly to his first consulship, without meeting the normal requirements for office. His success as military commander in Sulla's Second Civil War resulted in Sulla bestowing the nickname Magnus, or the Great, upon him. He was consul 3 times and celebrated 3 triumphs. So we know what Pompey was, right? And he lived between September 29th, 106 BC to September 28th, 48 BC. Now it says, in 63 BC, he took these prisoners of war to Rome. Now what was 63 BC during the time of Pompey? The siege of Jerusalem, 63 BC. The siege of Jerusalem, 63 BC, occurred during Pompey the Great's campaign in the east. Shortly after the successful conclusion of the Third Mithridatic War, Pompey had been asked to intervene in the internecine war between Hyrcanus II and Aristobulus II for the throne of the Hasmonean kingdom. Internecine means destructive to both sides in a conflict, or relating to conflict within a group or organization. His conquest of Jerusalem, however, spelled the end of Jewish independence and the incorporation of Judea in the Roman Republic as a client kingdom. So you understand, let's go back. In 63 BC, or during the siege of Jerusalem, Pompey, or Pompey the Great, had taken prisoners of war, which is talking about Jews, Israelites, because this is talking about the word libertine. We already went to the Greek in the book of Acts 6th chapter, going to libertine, and how libertine is talking about the Israelites who were taken captive by Pompey. So we right on the ball, we right on the money, we on point. These being liberated by those who had acquired them as slaves, set free, from the colony on the banks of the Tiber. Tacitus relates that the Senate decreed 19 AD, we're going to deal with that, we're going to deal with all of this, we ain't skipping nothing, okay? That a number of Jewish libertines or Israelite libertines should be transported to Sardinia, that the rest should leave Italy unless they renounce before a certain day their profane customs. Many would naturally seek refuge in Jerusalem and build there a synagogue. So who they had to have been? They had to have been freedmen of the Romans, as we read in the Blue Letter, and as we read in the scriptures in Acts 6th chapter. Okay? And in 63 BC, Pompey, or 63 BC, during the siege of Jerusalem, Pompey the Great had taken Israelites captive. He had taken them prisoners of war captive and brought them to Rome. And let's deal with we're gonna go to this. I want to go to Libertine here too, and add them online. Bear me 1 second. Do with Libertines right here too. It says Libertine, free, unrestrained. I'm going to jump right down to the point. Libertine, noun, a freedman, an emancipated slave. Latin libertinus, condition of a freedman, member of a class of freedmen. So it means freedman. One's freedman, emancipated person. So it says 63 BC Pompey, and it mentions Tiberius, and it mentions 19 AD. We're going to deal with that. But before we get there, let's go to this next page real quick. Okay? Go to this next page real quick. All right? Go right down to the point. BiblicalEncyclopedia.com, Libertine. When we read this, we're going to deal with the Tiberius and 19 AD thing. I know. You know what I'm saying? The earliest explanation of the word Chrysostom, the early definition of the word libertine, is also that which has been adopted by the most recent authorities. The Libertini are Jews, having been taken prisoners by Pompey and other Roman generals in the Syrian war. So we're on point. Had been reduced to slavery and had afterwards been emancipated or set free and returned permanently or for a time to the country of their fathers. Then we go here in the Blue Letter to the word libertine, and it said they had built at the on the synagogue in Rome, which they frequented when in that city. So we on point. It says of the existence of a large body of Jews in this position at Rome, we have abundant evidence. So we have abundant evidence of of Israelites being in Rome. That's why when Paul spoke about that, Romans 1st chapter. Okay. Romans, the first chapter. Okay, and it says, I'm gonna go to Romans chapter 1, verse 7. It says, to all that be in Rome, beloved of the Most High, called to be saints, grace to you and peace from the Most High our Father and the Lord Yahweh Shai. Bear me 1 second, brother. I'm back. I'm read it again. Where was I? I'll read it again. To all that be in Rome, beloved of the Most High, called to be saints, grace to you and peace from the Most High our Father and the Lord Yahweh Shai. So it said called to be saints, right? Now who are the saints? Psalm to the 140 verse 14. It says, He also exalteth the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him, praise ye Yahweh Bashmi Shah. So the Israelites are his saints. Saints, even of the children of Israel. The Israelites are the saints. That's what it's talking about. So you had Israelites in Rome, man. What are these guys talking about? That's what Paul was speaking to in the book of Romans. But let's keep reading. It says, under Tiberius, now let's deal with Tiberius now. Okay. I'm gonna go here. Because for some reason, the page that got Tiberius on it ain't loading up. Tiberius, November 1642 BC, March 1637 AD, was a Roman emperor from 14 AD to 37 AD, born Tiberius Claudius Nero, a Claudian. Tiberius was the son of Tiberius Claudius Nero and Livia Drusilla. His mother divorced Nero and married Octavian, later known as Augustus, in 39 BC, making him a stepson of Octavian. Okay, I could read more, but I'm not going to read no more because, like I said, due to the interest of time. So we got Tiberius, right? We got Tiberius now. Okay? It says, under Tiberius, the Senatus Consultum. What's the Senatus Consultum? The Senatus Consultum is referencing that decree that was made by the Senate in 19 AD. That's the Senatus Consultum. That's what it's referencing here on this page. Okay? That's the decree that was set forth in 19 AD. But can we read that? Can we look at that? Of course we can look at that. Let's go down. I'm going to go right to the point. I'm not going to read extra stuff like I might normally do. I'm going to go right to the point, you know. This is here, go right here. During Tiberius' reign, Jews had become more prominent in Rome, and Jewish and Gentile followers, or Israelite and Gentile followers, which were Israelite foreigners, those were the Gentiles were, Israelites who had lost their way, who had lost the knowledge of who they were, followers of Yahweh Shah, says Jesus here, began proselytizing or converting Roman citizens. Yeah, they began proselytizing or converting Roman citizens. We read that in the book of Rome, didn't we? In the book of Rome, excuse me. We read that in the book of Romans, right? How you had Israelites living in Rome. Okay. See if I can find something here. Yeah, Acts chapter 2, verse 10. I'm starting from verse 1. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place, and suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And jump down. All right, and they're dwelling at Jerusalem. Now I gotta keep reading.